So in this lecture, we're going to talk about special brushes. Special brushes are a type of brush that you use in very specific instances and scenarios. Okay, so some examples would be maybe a hairbrush, or meaning a brush that makes hair, not a brush you brush your hair with. A brush that creates snow or leaves, right? These are special brushes, all right? Something to keep in mind when you're using a special brush is that you want to use it sparingly, okay? It's not something that you would create the whole image with, like a texture brush, for example. With a texture brush, you can go over your whole painting if you want and add texture where it sees fit. Or with a paintbrush, you can paint your entire image using the same paintbrush. But using a special brush, you want to use it very sparingly for very specific jobs. And a lot of times, those brushes require special layer attributes with them in order to work properly. So let's look at some examples. One of them would be a snow brush, like this, for example. So we're going to make it white up here. And we can see if we use this, we can paint in what kind of looks like snow falling, right? However, this wouldn't be enough just thrown on a screen to make it look like snow, right? We might need to change the opacity or perhaps even change the layer mode to something else. And we can go over layer modes and stuff later, but I just want you to keep in mind, a lot of times if you're going to be using a brush like this, it's not going to be enough to just be on its own. You're going to need to know how to work it and to get it to integrate with your image, okay? Another example, let's go ahead and clear that, would be maybe like this water brush, right? Something that gives this effect that there's caustics, right? So once you paint it on there, you can always blow it up and adjust it around. But this is another one where, similar to the texture brush, you're going to want to adjust the layer so that it fits with whatever it is you're painting. So for example, if this is going to be on the bottom of a swimming pool, you don't want to just be flat unless we're looking straight down at the bottom of the pool. It's going to need to have a little bit of dimension and perspective to it, like this, in order to get it to look right, okay? Now, some other special brushes would be brushes that are meant to look like light. So let's find one here. This is a good example here. The flare brush, okay? This is a very specific brush, and you probably only want to use this once per image. But if I tap this down here, it's going to create what looks like a lens flare. However, if I have this painted on an image, we probably aren't going to want it to just be white, okay? Let's say I have something underneath here. Let's just draw really quick or paint in a picture here. And we're just nothing fancy at all. We're just going to do a quick ball. All right. And throw in a little highlight up there. Okay. And then I'm just going to take my eraser and wrap up the edges real fast. So super sloppy, but that's okay. We don't need it to be something miraculous. So this lens flare, we could have it set on normal, right? And we could just have it be white. But if we understand how light works and how it's going to interact with this object, we can change the color a little bit. We can change the layer mode to something that's going to affect the ball more, right? Like add, that gives it a lot more punch to it. Screen can be a good one, soft light or hard light, right? And working with these things is going to really help us be able to figure out how we want this to interact, right? On its own, it might not be exactly what we want, but if we understand what it is we're going for, we can use these special brushes a lot more judiciously and know how to get them to work correctly, right? Just keep that in mind, right? You don't want to go crazy. Keep it really subtle, right? You don't want it all over the place. Or for example, like these ones, this is something if you wanted to throw it in somewhere, you know, maybe it's on a piece of paper or a coffee mug, but you're going to need to adjust it so that it fits with what's there in the rest of the image. So that's it for special brushes. Keep those things in mind. Remember, you're going to probably have to adjust layers to get the special brush to work correctly, and you want to use it very sparingly. So that's it for this lecture, and I'll see you guys in the next one.